Well, they were there. All right, people, look, I gotta tell you, I find this part of the show extremely distasteful. Because I... Hey, kids! Kids! $2 for mommy and bring it! Alright, I'm gonna get some more. That wasn't enough, yeah?
It's that high of some in the car. That high of 70
How high, baby?
Yeah, so here's the deal. Coots. Looks like a really big bluegill.
Now, as you look at your wedding, this is a hawk, and it does have a red tail. Anyone? Oh, we have many scholars this day. Well, indeed, this is the red-tailed hawk, and this is a very valuable member of our environment for a lot of reasons, but primarily they help to keep a balance in nature of the things that they eat. They eat things like rabbits, rats, squirrels, of their diet. And speaking of things that she would eat, would you in fact like to see this bird do some hunting for us here today? Really? Are we sure about that? Yeah! Oh, nicely done. Oh, there we go. Yep, right over. There we go. Now, she will protect this just as if she's actually captured real prey. And a bird this size actually has about 250 pounds of pressure per square inch of gripping power at each foot. When they grab a hold of their prey, those feet actually lock down into place until they've relaxed enough to let it go, typically when the prey is dispatched. Now, you see what she's doing here? Getting a shoulder into it. She's protecting it. This is called mantling. This is a behavior that starts off very early in the nest when the parents bring in food to the babies. They would each want to protect their food from their brothers and sisters in the nest, very much like us being at home at the dinner table. I would like to point out, lords and ladies, that it is actually illegal for any person to hunt, kill, capture, shoot or possess any bird of prey found here in this country. It's even illegal, lords and ladies, to keep one single feather from a bird like this. Doing so is risking tremendous fines or even imprisonment. Now, we do have special permits and licenses to present them for educational programs, but it is illegal otherwise to keep a bird like this in your possession. Chula's done a great job for us here today, so we're going to send her home. Say goodbye to Chula, the red-tailed hawk. Now, this is a type of bird that spends a lot of time on the ground. That is where they find their food. It's also where this bird likes to make its nest as well. This bird's valuable to our environment because they help to that are otherwise spread disease around the land. They're valuable for that purpose because they're very tolerant and even immune to most diseases. For instance, this bird could completely consume an entire bowl of anthrax and not even be affected by that. They're very well suited to their job out in the wild. Now, you may or may not know that by picking a coloured egg out of this basket over here, and today, come on over here, how about we choose, let's say, the colour pink, alright? Over there. Look at me. Are you ready? All right, find your pink egg. Look at that, he wasted no time at all. Now, while he's doing that to infinity, I think he's actually not a little secret. The only colour he's ever been trained to find is pink. Inside that egg, there's actually a meat reward. If you're wondering if the smell of that meat plays a factor in him finding the right colour, the answer is no. There's an old myth of wives' tale that says if you were to find a baby bird, not to touch it because the parents would smell you and not take care of it. Has anybody heard that before? Yeah. Okay, well that's just an old myth. Most birds do not have a sense of smell. There is one notable exception to Now this little bird is lucky to be with us, and we're lucky to have him, because this one was actually found on the ground as a baby bird out in the wild, completely covered in fire ants. He was actually stung so badly that they stung the pupils in his eyes, and we thought he was never going to be a sighted bird. But after he turned about 6 months old, we started getting his sight back. So we started giving him some targeting exercises, and let's see how he does. And he's doing pretty well, isn't he? The problem with that is that he does it all the time. He never stops making that sound, even when he's not hungry. Now this is a bird you would typically find around a body of water, like a lake, pond, stream, that sort of thing. And they eat very small prey. They don't have a very good gripping strength in their feet, approximately 90 to 120 or so in their feet. And this is one of two types of owls that you commonly hear out in the forest in this area. This is called the barred owl, and next up we're actually going to meet the other type of owl that you find in this area. But for now, let's go ahead and send Wolfgang back inside. Say goodbye to Wolfgang. Ho, ho! Yes, so this is unusual. Right again. Ho, ho! Just put him back on the perch. Put him on the perch. There we go. He really is adorable, isn't he? Alright, let's try this one more time. Ho, ho, ho! Over there. Up there. There. Flighted bird, however, he's not quite flighted under command yet. You're actually part of his training here today. We're actually just getting him used to being in front of an audience. And if you notice, he has something wrong with his right eye. This bird was found out in the wild. He'd actually been attacked by a swarm of bees, and during the attack he lost his right eye. It will never grow back, it doesn't get better, it will permanently be that way. If we were to release him out in the wild, he probably could find food with that one eye. However, it makes him very subject now to attack from other predators. He wouldn't really have a good defense against them. He'd be very handicapped in that regard. So, that being said, let's talk a little bit about him. We talked about the red-tailed hawk having about 250 pounds of pressure gripping strength in its feet. This one has a different type of gripping structure in his foot. He actually has about 350 pounds of pressure of gripping power in those feet. He does eat a lot of the same things as the hawks do: rabbits, rats, squirrels, mice, snakes, ants. Does anybody know what the horned owl's favorite food is? I'll give you a hint. It's black and white and smelly all over. Skunks, that's right. So it's a really good thing he doesn't have a sense of smell, isn't it? Now, you'll notice that he is also making that sort of weeping sound. That one. That's the baby sound. We have been working on his adult sound. Would you like to hear Jack Jack Hoot for us here today? Yeah. Now, there's actually an old adage in the South that says that you can tell the difference between the barred owl hoot and that of the great horned owl, and it goes like this. One says, "Who cooks for you?" The other one says, "Who cooks for y'all?" Wolfgang would be y'all. We're going to try and get him to do that for us here today, so let's give his baby sound first. Alright, now you dog. Well, lords and ladies, apparently he doesn't give a hoot today, so we're going to say goodbye to Jack, everybody. Now, there's an owl with approximately 5.5 foot wingspread, and everybody needs to watch your head. Just send him to the back. Up, up. Now, when he comes back across here, listen to tell me if you actually hear anything when he passes you by. Up, up. What did you hear? Nothing, that was the point. Owls have something called silent flight. They lack something on their feathers that other birds have. Other birds have something called barbules, which are tiny little hooks that surround the edge of every feather. So if you hear a pigeon or a crow take off, that familiar clapping sound that you hear is caused by the feathers crossing. Look alive, keep escaping! Look alive, everybody! Welcome Ed to the program, everyone. Now this is the largest and most dangerous bird we have to share with you here today. It's called the African white-backed vulture, and you're going to notice that she's not a flighted bird. It's because she's missing a portion of her left wing. This bird was a donation to us from the Eurasian for our education program, and she came to us with that missing wing. She was in a very large enclosure up there at the other. Typically doesn't run away from them very often. They just don't have to have a good gripping strength. The beak on this one has over here. So that's what we're going to show you here today. Is just how strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And she's done. Programs, Discovery, Animal Planet, something like that, you may have seen where a large animal like a lion has killed something. Oftentimes, you see a lot of other animals waiting for their tail in the background. This is one of those animals. This bird travels in very large groups, sometimes 100, 200 or more at a time. So when the food becomes available, it simply does not last long at all. It only takes 100 of these birds to completely devour a 600-pound carcass in just 5 minutes. That's it. Now, speaking of carcasses, I do need to get this bone away from her, so, any volunteers that want to take this away from her? Reach your hand into your jaws. Wow, look at all the parents volunteering their children. I'm kidding. She's pouting, isn't she? By the way, of all the animals that I have trained, which actually does include lions, tigers, and bears, thank you, that's the only animal that's ever seriously injured me. So, if you wouldn't mind just sticking your hand down there and just stealing that right away from us, you won't mind one little bit. A better idea. Well, let's see it. Wow, she's really in the marrow there, isn't she? Bribery will get you nowhere. Over there, Ed, over there. She's over there. She took it, it wasn't me, honestly. Alright, say goodbye to Ed, everybody. Here, let me show you out. Right over there. Run, Forrest, run! A bird called the king vulture. Please welcome Ray to the show, everybody. Isn't that a beautiful bird? Now, you're going to notice that he's on a safety line. And you're wondering to yourself, well, why is he on a safety line? I'll tell you, this bird's on that line because of a very good reason. He hates men. And there's a lot of us out here today. Now, this bird is about 20 years old, and he was actually a donation to us from the Phoenix Zoo. This bird will live to be around 50, 55 years, but When he was at the zoo, he's what's called a surplus animal, which is just a fancy way of saying he was an accidental bird. That means that most zoos, actually, if you don't know, have very strict protocols about the way they breed animals in captivity. It's usually because of space reasons. Now, this bird's parents were able to hide him in their enclosure for a very long time before the zookeepers discovered that he was also in there. Once they discovered it, he was taken to the animal nursery and he was raised primarily by the lady zookeepers. And whenever a man would come into today, we actually just call him the king vulture. Now, this is also a bird that does have a good sense of smell. He does have a little bit of gripping strength, a little bit more than Ed does in her feet. But for the most part, whenever this bird arrives on the scene at a kill site, if there's other animals already there, they all get out of his way. That's why we call him the king vulture, because he can be such an aggressive bird. Which he's already starting to do. You see he's starting to wander over this way. He's trying to get over to me is what he's trying to do. And if he can't get to me, he's going to start doing something called displaced aggression, which means he's going to take it out on her. So let's go ahead and get him out of here before that happens. We don't need to have a Wild Kingdom moment here. So let's say goodbye to Ray, everybody. By the way, just by looking at this bird, can anybody take a guess? Just yell it out. What do you think? How much do you think this bird weighs? Shout it out. What do you think?
6 pounds!
40, 50, 40,
6 pounds!
70,
11!
12,
6 pounds!
70, 100, 1,000. Wow.
6 pounds!
Are we ready? He weighs just 7 pounds.
I was for good reasons. He knew what he was talking about.
Oh, you did a great job for us, so say goodbye to Ray. The augur buzzard, but what does he look like? Hawk, you're right, it is a hawk. It's in the hawk family. The difference is in the language. In Europe and Africa, where these birds are found, hawks are actually named buzzards, whereas here in the States, vultures are sometimes called buzzards. The difference is, there's not actually an animal here in this country. Everybody duck in the back. There's not actually an animal here in this country that's named a buzzard like this one is. Now this bird has a very odd behavior that it does out in the wild that's called clever behavior. Stay there. This bird has a very short tail that allows him to be very acrobatic when he flies. He actually has the ability to flip upside down to steal food away from other birds while they're flying away with prey. We're going to try and get him to do that for us here today by catching this leather bag way up in the air. Up, up, up. This bird has about 325,000 pressure of gripping strength in those feet. And by the way, to give you an idea really how strong that is, the average adult male human has approximately 90 pounds of gripping strength in the hand. So these birds are tremendously strong for their size. Now that he's all good and mad, let's see if I can get this away from him. Let's turn this around. All right. Oh good, look at that. You see those feathers sticking up on the back of his neck now? Those are called hackles. Have you ever heard the term getting your hackles up?
Yes.
This is where it comes from. Those feathers are actually called hackles, and when a bird of prey puts its hackles up, it's not a good time to handle that bird. Alright, he's getting his shoulder into it there, isn't he? He really doesn't want me to have it, so let's see. Now he's killing it. And stomping on it. Well. Alright, here we go. Let's see if I can get it from him. Orion. It's dead, really, it is. One of the other lads. He's thinking about it. That one's not yielding any results whatsoever. And let's set him on his leg.
You never said where this bird is from.
It's from Europe and Asia.
Ah, thank you.
Alright, if we're taking the zoos, we'll come up on this side and exit through the middle stairway right over here. First up, please.
Sir, have you noticed ospreys not moving around? Have you noticed?
I've not seen any. I've seen one bald eagle around.